What's up, guys? The craziest fight night of all time just wrapped up. If you guys missed it, you can't rewatch it because it was a one-time thing, you know? It was a limited edition fight night. No, I'm kidding. It was good. There was a lot of good finishes. Imagine, like, the most underwhelming fight night with name value just turned out to be the best fights ever. But it was a good fight night, especially for the name value that it had. Because let's be honest, man, a lot of people didn't care for this card. But as I usually say, fight cards that look like they're weak usually perform well, and there were a lot of great finishes. Crazy knockouts, really good submission in the main event. The submission itself, not what Ribas did to get herself submitted. And for the awards, Weasel Awards, the fight of the night is 100% Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov. That fight was so good. The performances of the night, saying this as if I'm like Dana Weasel, Jacobe Smith, 100% should get a performance of the night. Cesar Almeida's knockout, Punahele Soriano, and man, give one to Felipe Bunes. The guy was fighting like a welterweight in there. The guy came in at 6 feet tall in the flyweight division, missed weight by over 2 pounds, and still got submitted in the first round. Felipe Bunes deserves some kind of reward for that. I know he's getting a percentage of Jose Johnson's purse, but bro had so many advantages going into it and still got finished that quickly. But let's start with the main event. Mackenzie defeats Amanda Ribas in the rematch by a 3rd round submission. Great this fight did not go 5 rounds. Because honestly, Chris Curtis versus Roman Kopylov should have been the main event. But it turns out none of these fights would have went 5 rounds. Whether it was Dern versus Ribas, Ponzinibbio versus Harris, or even Curtis versus Kopylov. All these fights got finished in the 3rd round, which is kind of crazy. But Mackenzie Dern started off strong. She had a good takedown in the 1st round. So it looked like her wrestling has evolved. And maybe if it continues to be strong in that fight, she might have some kind of chance against the champion, or at least to be a decent title challenger. But she only had that good double leg in the 1st round. She tried it in the 3rd round, got countered by the judo throw. And then for some reason, Amanda Ribas decided to stay in the guard. She followed her to the ground, stayed on the ground, didn't even attempt to get up, practically gave Dern the position to get that armbar, and that was it. She got the armbar, Dern got on top, attacked with the armbar again, and finished the fight. And the thing is, Amanda Ribas has success on the ground in the 2nd round, being on top of Dern. She also has success in the 1st fight. So it was that kind of like, false sense of confidence, or you could just say overconfidence, which is something that we've seen in other fights as well. There was a theme of that throughout this fight night card, where a fighter got overconfident, played their opponent's game, and got finished for it. And we'll talk about the Abdul Razak Alhassan fight with that, because that was crazy. But not the best fight in the world or anything. Cool to see the improvements of Dern's wrestling, because it's been not a great skill of hers. She's never really had great wrestling, and we want to see these jiu-jitsu fighters develop the wrestling to a level where they can use it for top control and submissions. But I don't see either of these two ever beating Zhang Weili. I do think Mackenzie Dern versus Yang Xiaonan would be a good fight next, and maybe Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci. Santiago Ponzinibbio TKOs Carlston Harris in the 3rd round. Santiago had a strong early start in round 1, quickly landed a right straight a few times throughout, but he was just spamming the same few techniques, not changing his rhythm at all until the 2nd round. All he was doing was bouncing back and forth, throws the 1-2, bounces back and forth, throws the leg kick, rinse and repeat. And Harris started to land the quick check left hook multiple times and got Santiago's timing down and dropped him with the right overhand. Then in the 2nd round, Santiago changed his rhythm and had more success with doubling up on his jab, throwing more left hooks, and changing his head movement slightly. 3rd round rocked Harris with the right straight multiple times and got the standing TKO. Kind of an early stoppage, but Harris was badly hurt. I think eventually, even if it wasn't finished there, I think Santiago would have finished the fight later. Amazing fight and performance by both fighters at the end of their careers. I mean, how much longer are these two gonna fight? Santiago's still very fast, and he didn't retire though, man. Every fight of his is like a roller coaster. Like, he gets hurt early, then he comes back later and makes it a competitive fight, and always a war with this guy. It's fun to watch, but he does get rocked in like every single one of his fights ever since his return. This next fight is a lesson to not bum rush a seasoned kickboxer. Abdul Razak Alhassan landed a darting straight and dropped Cesar Almeida, the kickboxer. Huge moment for him, right? He actually is winning in the stand-up. This was both a great advantage to get the fight to the ground, which is where he should have been, right? He's the judo guy, he's more experienced on the ground, he should be more dangerous there and keeping it there, right? But dropping Cesar Almeida was also the worst thing for a reckless brawler like Alhassan. He smelled blood and got way overconfident for the finish, forgetting who he was fighting for a moment. Cesar Almeida is not a big name, but his kickboxing experience is to be respected. Alhassan got reckless and swung like a maniac, while Cesar was looking for his opening through his high guard. So he had his hands up and he's defending the wild shots from Alhassan. Some of them get through, but he's looking for the opening for himself to counterattack. Blocked a few shots, then as he got punched back to the fence, you see exactly when Cesar found his opening. He slipped Alhassan's punch while throwing his right hand, then followed up with a left hook, landing flush on the chin, KOing Alhassan. And he was out for minutes, man. That was a scary knockout, man. I hope he's okay, because Alhassan's been fighting for a long time. He's taken a lot of damage. He's been knocked out before. And when he gets knocked out, it's like stone cold, falling like a statue kind of knockouts. And that was brutal, man. Amazing win, though, for Cesar Almeida. If Chris Curtis stays at middleweight, I'd like to see this fight between them two. A much better fight than we expected, and neither retired. And Roman Kopylov defeats Chris Curtis by a TKO with 1 second left of the fight. Insane. Now, it could have been an early stoppage. I could see it, but regardless, whether it was early stoppage or not, Roman Kopylov won that fight. He was going to win the decision. He dropped him with the head kick. He was winning the third round. He rocked him a few times. Big leg kicks in the third. Second round was close too. Chris Curtis was winning the first half of the second round as Roman Kopylov started to slow down. But then there was an accidental low blow where Roman threw a body jab. It got deflected off of the hand of Curtis, hit low, and then after he poked him in the eye, now it should have been a point deduction, I think. Because not only did he poke him in the eye, the resting could have impacted the fight, but I think the commentators were overstating how tired Roman Kopylov was. It wasn't like he was about to fall over like he's Dada 5000. They were making it seem like he was about to pass on the octagon or something. He slowed down in the second round. He had a second wind after the eye poke, and Bisping was talking about the second win in the third round. No, the second win was in the second round. He was winning the last half of the second round, was winning the third round against a tough Chris Curtis, man. So he said the first round went to Roman Kopylov, which I agree with. I think he said the second round went to Chris Curtis. It could have went back and forth. Maybe Curtis won because of the first half of that round, but Roman Kopylov landed a bunch of big shots at the second half of that. And then he said the third round was even, like halfway into it. I'm like, how was the third round even? This is clearly Roman's round. In the beginning of the round, he was landing leg kicks, and it was obvious how much damage that was inflicting on Chris Curtis's movement. There was a point where he kind of slipped, and it almost like he was about to fall over because of all the damage to that lead leg of his. The left straight down the center was rocking him a few times in the round, and then eventually the head kick, which was also blocked by one hand. This is why you need two hands or two arms to defend the head kick. Just one could be not strong enough to block a head kick like that, especially from someone like Roman Kopylov. I don't know if Chris Curtis has been knocked down too many times in his career, but a partially blocked head kick drops him, and that causes the finish of the fight, which he didn't get up, so I can see the finish, but at the same time, I could see why it's an early stoppage. Amazing fight from both fighters. Great performance for Roman Kopylov, and I like to see Roman get a top 15 opponent. Maybe Michel Pereira? How insane would that fight be? Dynamic technique versus athleticism and power? That'd be a great fight. And as for Chris Curtis, I would like to see him go to welterweight. I know Sean Strickland mentioned that before, where Curtis can go to welterweight. It's just that Curtis doesn't want to do the weight cut, which is understandable, of course, and respect to him for fighting in his weight class, where most other fighters are just cutting like 20 to 30 pounds, which is insane. I mean, you see that Jose Johnson guy? He missed weight too, and then got submitted by Felipe Bunes, then the prospect killer. Christian Rodriguez beats Austin Bashi by a decision. Rodriguez is the Michael Jordan of beating undefeated fighters. Ilia Topuria is undefeated, right? Keep him away from Rodriguez, man, because he just gets stronger if you've never lost before. Once he sees that after their wins, bro turns Super Saiyan or something. It's insane. He fought off the wrestling well, countered the takedown with a guillotine, and even reversed with a whizzer in the third round and on the ground in the first. He even got a takedown off the body kick, timing the knee, trying to land to the body head with those, depending on whether Bashi goes for a takedown or just collides into him with an overhand. He was controlling the range on entries with his double jab. Bashi kind of had the back twice, but didn't get much with his offense. Most of the offensive success in that fight was from Rodriguez, and it was a great win for him. But watch, his next opponent is going to have 10 losses, and somehow he's going to lose that one. Then Punahele Soriano soared and destroyed Uros Medic within 31 seconds, man. Blasted Medic with a shifting right straight, similar to Dustin Poirier's signature combo. He blitzed Medic after Medic's body shot missed and had him overextended, so he was going to naturally pull away in a straight line. Perfect range for Soriano to run him over. Drops Medic and finish with ground and pound. I thought Medic was going to be too technical for Soriano, honestly, but Soriano just might be that much better at welterweight. Then Felipe Bunes slays the giant Jose Johnson in the first round, collects his arm with a fast armbar off of the missed elbow from Johnson, which his coach called for. So Johnson's coach yells to throw an elbow because Bunes had double wrist control, so Johnson could roll his elbows over like Tito Ortiz used to do back in the day. But he missed the shot, and Bunes countered it with an armbar. I have to go back and see if Bunes actually slipped the elbow, like he dodged it, or the elbow just missed. And a reach advantage isn't always an advantage. It's hard to get out of arm bars if you have really long arms. A great example was when Vitor had an armbar on John Jones. And Jose Johnson tried to weight bully. I mean, what is he doing at flyweight? He's 6 feet tall. He missed weight by over 2 pounds, so he was not as drained and still got finished in the first round. Really good performance from Felipe Bunes. Then Marco Tulio destroying Ihor Potieira. Bro, what did Potieira do to the UFC? Like, ever since his Shogun celebration, this guy's just getting eaten alive out there. Like he's a sacrifice. Can they give him an easier opponent? Marco Tulio's good. So he throws that right straight. And Ihor Potieira actually slipped the punch. They both pivoted, facing each other. But it looked like Ihor Potieira didn't know what to do from there. It was kind of like, that was the extent of his skill. Like he didn't learn anything after that. Like he learned how to slip the punch, he learned how to pivot, and then just like blanked out after that. And he just sat there with his hands down. It looked like with his left hand, he tried to parry a body punch and left his chin open. Even after Marco Tulio literally just tried to take his head off a second before that. And Tulio lands an easy lead right hook, knocking Ihor out. Bro, there had to have been like some Brazilian Al Capone. He saw Shogun get destroyed by this guy. He dances over Shogun's corpse. He must have like called the UFC and be like, these are his next opponents. Michel Pereira submitted him. Bellato knocked him out. Now Marco Tulio knocked him out. They're about to give him Vitor Petrino next. And somehow Vitor was going to KO him in the first round as well. Bro, Ihor Potieira never fought a Brazilian fighter in his entire career until he fought Shogun. And then after the Shogun fight, most of his opponents are Brazilian. And they all beat him too. There was only 2 fighters after that were not Brazilian. Right? One of them was Carlos Olberg. The other was Robert Brysick. And he beat Brysick, right? And that Brazilian Al Capone must have been like, what are you guys doing? Who's this Brysick bum? No. Give him Michel Pereira. Wait, why though? Michel Pereira's on a 7-fight win streak. Ihor Potieira finally got a win after the Shogun fight. Give him Michel Pereira. He'll kill him. Ihor gets submitted in 54 seconds of the first round. Give him Cesar Almeida. Someone went to a decision. Brazilian Al Capone was not happy about that. Give him Marco Tulio for his UFC debut. Knocks him out in the first round. But big win for Marco Tulio, man. That's 3 straight knockouts in a row. And then Thiago Moises and Trey Ogden had an okay fight. Ogden kind of threw the fight with that last takedown. He won the first round. Moises won the second round. Ogden's striking looked good in the fight. Had good jabs, left hooks, and right straights. And shut down Moises' offense in that first round with good feints. But then Moises diminished that confidence in the second round with an overhand and dropping him with a leg kick. Controlled him on the ground for the rest of the round. And then in the third round, Ogden shot a takedown without really playing it out in the striking as much as he did in the first, which was interesting. Was the overhand and the leg kick that powerful where he just didn't want to strike with him anymore? It's kind of what I said before though in the prediction video. There are moments where Trey Ogden loses his confidence in his striking, and it happened here in this fight as well. Shooting a takedown on Thiago Moises was kind of low fight IQ. He was winning the fight when he was relying on his boxing skills, throwing out good leg kicks himself. Like he was doing very well, but then 2 strikes changes his whole game plan. Instead of adjusting to the leg kick and to the overhand, he instead went a completely different way and fought Thiago Moises where he's at his strongest. Now Trey Ogden's good on the ground as well, but Moises is very good on the ground. Like he's very high level, and you saw it there. Trey Ogden tried to get his back. Moises defended it, got on top, and rolled the round all the way to a decision. So wasn't the most exciting fight, but a win for Thiago Moises. But welterweight has a new talent in Jacobe Smith. KO'd Preston Parsons in the first round with a left hook through the jaw, not on the jaw. His fist blasted through Parsons' jaw like paper and KO'd him. This guy's a high level wrestler, by the way. Didn't even need a single takedown to win the fight. Very fast and powerful striking, but he doesn't move his head that much. I don't know if that's going to be a weakness of his in his next fight or something, but it is his UFC debut, and he's not a striker, but that can be a weakness if he doesn't improve his defense. He was striking a lot, even when he was attacking without moving his head anywhere. Like he was straight up tall while he was throwing his punches. So if a fighter gets off the center line and throws an overhand, looping punch, beating a straight punch, that would be like one of those scenarios. It's all off the head movement. An overhand could land, but amazing performance, man, by Jacobe Smith. Then Ernesta Kareckaite, I think it's how you pronounce it, walked out Nicolle Caliari to a decision win. Volume punching in close, long jabs and straight from range, constantly walking forward, and Caliari was throwing all power punches, but just couldn't keep Ernesta away from her with those punches, so she tried to wrestle. Barely any success with that up until the end of the third round. Good win for Ernesta, but man, her shoulders are like Dricus's. You see the size of her shoulders? Once she picks her hands up, it's like she's guarding her head with 2 boulders, man. She's an interesting fighter for that flyweight division. And then Bruno Lopez reversed Uno the Dagestani, out wrestling Magomed Gaziasulov, constant takedown attempts and strikes in the clinch. Magomed was fast and landing solid leg kicks, but he just got outworked. Not the most exciting fight, but good win for Bruno Lopez in his UFC debut. The Fatima Klein beats Victoria Dudakova by a TKO in the second round. Clear skill difference in the grappling. Dudakova initiated the takedowns, but Klein reversed her twice, took her down, and got on top into full mount. Dudakova committed heavily into every offense, but sometimes these attacks should be built slower in the grappling, right? She's not throwing punches, but it's like she's attacking in the same way with her grappling. The Kimura, for an example, example. She focused so much on the grip instead of the more important part, the position, and allowed Klein to get on top of her into full mount. In the entire second round, I think she only landed one significant strike, if I remember correctly, and got TKO'd after from elbows. She didn't even try to fight out of it either. Just accepted defeat. She couldn't get out of the position. She was taking elbows on her guard and just waiting until the ref stopped it. And then Dudakova slapped her coach after the fight. What was up with that? Then Tajik Habib wrestled his way to a decision. Nurullo Aliyev's takedowns are very strong and he has heavy top control. Even rocked Joe Selecki with a right hook against the fence. He hits hard but isn't a technical striker. And then Selecki getting a takedown then full mounting was crazy, but a decision win for Nurullo Aliyev. And he doesn't seem like the most exciting fighter, but who knows, maybe he goes on this crazy undefeated run like Habib did. I mean, he is 10-0. But this is a solid fight night card, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys did, make sure to give this video a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.